Welcome to the Midlife Midsters Podcast, your podcast for inspiration on being bold and saying yes to making the most of midlife. Kim, thanks for coming today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
We've been looking forward to it. I know you've been doing a lot lately, but you tend to do a lot in your life anyway. So our discussion today is basically about dream big. So we're all going to talk about kind of our dreams now, what we envision in the future, and dreams that maybe have even come true so far. But we'd like to start with you talking a little bit about some of your big dreams, what you've done and what you're doing.
Okay, sometimes I don't realize they're a dream, but there's things that you want to do. And going way back when I was like early 20s, I remember I wanted to go on a mission for my church. And I remember talking to a friend at church who happened to be my dentist and saying, but by golly, when I get back, I'd be like, 23. And it's funny now. It didn't seem funny then. And he just said, you're going to be 23 regardless. Are you going to have done what you want to do? And so I've kind of carried that with me. So I did go on my mission, had a lovely time. I went a bit later. I was 26 and a half when I got home. But there's just been things that as they have arisen, I've just kind of decided I wanted to do them. So some of the things, I had a good friend at work. It's always a network of friends and people that either see something in you that they want to develop. And he decided that I kind of needed to go back to school. So I went and got my MBA. He said, baby steps, just call these 3 places, get a catalog. And by the time I was enrolled in taking classes in one university, the others hadn't even responded with their catalogs. So just a lot of fun things.
Well, what I like a lot about you, too, is you have a lot of what I would consider hobbies. I mean, weaving, looming, the shoes that you're wearing today, you actually made. But more than that, like some of the things that you have ventured to do recently, to me, are like second and third career type things. Even though I know you've always had an interest in a lot of these things, you're just pursuing it after 50. And can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, that's adventurous. Like, for me, I'm thinking about traveling. What about you guys? Traveling, not another career, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm still thinking about another career.
Sorry, you're right. You're going to do big things.
So the first major career change was nursing, which was after the MBA, and I was, 45 before I became a nurse. So that was kind of on the later side. But then when I retired, I got to thinking, a friend was saying, oh, golly, I'd love to be able to, give a good massage, and I thought I used to be really good at that. So I looked into it, you can take a 7-month course. And so I did that and got licensed. But then before that was finished up, I was looking at aesthetics because I've been going to this lady that I love, and she is just marvelous. And the relaxation and the things that she can do with your skin, makes a difference. And I thought I would love to be able to bring that to others. So then I started the basic aesthetics and then just went straight into the master's, which, in about 8 or 9 weeks, I'll be finishing that up. So we're doing, chemical peels and a lot of interesting modalities with some more of the machines that you get to use that do a lot of things to help with as we age, whether it's hyperpigmentation or, fine lines and wrinkles or laxity of skin, just things that you can do rather than just relaxing, which is already wonderful, but just things that we should have known as kids, and we don't,
Right. Are you going to do this as a career, or is this just something fun that you are going to do for a while?
It is definitely fun, but I would like to actually put it to use. And I think if you don't use it, you don't continue growing. So, it's interesting, some of the places that I go for services, when you graduate, let me know. Oh, you're a massage therapist too? Well, you could start now. I will just talk to our hiring manager by the time you've gotten dressed and are out there that, oh yeah, you would just, so it's a lovely feeling.
So I think it's really interesting. Also, we're going to open this up to discussion as well.
I actually have a question.
Sure.
I think
you've done so many different things. So MBA to nursing, which is like a huge switch. Massage and esthetician are a little bit closer because it's
Very
care
close,
of people.
yeah.
But like at any point, did you ever say to yourself, this is not a good idea, I can't do this? Or is it always just, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it?
And I can't remember which degree it was. I think it was my MBA because that took a very long time because I had to take 20 out of the 21 courses. And then I was interrupted during a health crisis for my husband. So it just took a long time. And I remember whether it was that or something else, talking to my mom and saying, I am just ready. I'm just ready to be done with this and get on with my life. And Mom was brilliant. And she just looked at me. She said, Kimmy, did you ever think that maybe this is your life? Taking classes, going to school, learning.
Good perspective.
And I tend to do very well in a class environment where there is a mentor or a teacher. I have more trouble. As much as I read and love reading, I do not just pick up a book and teach myself how to weave or teach myself how to spin or tat or, do triangle weaving. It's just, I like having a class. I like having students with me, and I like having somebody teaching me who's kind of been through the mistakes. So you don't have to make all the mistakes. You can make some of them, but not all of them.
Well, our motto is boldly saying yes. And you do that for sure. That was a good question, because I think that as we get older, there's a fear, or can we do it, or do we have the time, or why would I go to school at 50 or 55? I've already done that. But you're like, if you have an idea, something that you want to do, you're just jumping in and doing it. So there's a lot of personal growth too that comes from that.
I'm really struck by a couple of different things that have been shared in terms of, am I too old to take classes? But at the same time, one of the things we talk about, besides boldly saying yes, is being so in tune with yourself, with your interests, with a new level of confidence that you have. So I wonder how if you're not somebody who is so open to doing new things and following your dreams and having visions, how do you because I think I'm not one of those people, how do you take that idea that you have and turn it into that action? How do you sort of manifest that vision or that dream that you had for yourself if you're not somebody who is continually wired, as you said you were, to be learning and doing and coming up with new things, as you turn the corner almost?
Some of it's been a progress over my life. In my 20s, I would not say that was me embracing new things. No, definitely not. So part of that, just getting more comfortable in my skin. And the other part, I go back to, my friend who wanted me to get a master's, baby steps, just contact 3 universities and ask for their catalog. So when I look at these things, it's like, oh, yeah, I used to be good at doing massage. Okay. So I start looking on the internet, what does it take? How long does it take? What's the financial commitment? What's the time commitment? What does it look like? And then I do my secret shopper business. I will go get a massage at the schools that are around there, and I decide which one I like. When I was doing aesthetics, I went and got a facial at a couple of the schools, and it really falls into place. You like the energy at one, you like the way the students interact, you like the teachers, everything is wonderful. And the other one, no, it was not. It became very clear. So I just little baby steps, and it's like, I can do this. The time commitment, the financial commitment, I can see myself here. I could be happy here. And you fill out an application, and then you got accepted. And then, you have a start date. It's just, I don't know that I dream as big as I could. I just do little dreams, but just pitter-patter after them.
So, Kim, have you left the other things behind? Are you building on them? How are you thinking about that? Like, you retired from nursing, but then are you doing all these things at once, or how do you think about that?
It's been sequential, and a lot of the students at the aesthetics school, it has really big to be a nurse and be able to do injectables. So Botox and fillers, dermal fillers. That's just not been my dream. Whereas for some of them, they would be willing to go to nursing school just so that they could be an esthetician injecting, which I am a nurse who is doing aesthetics. And that to me is who I am. I'm debating it now, but I don't think that's where I get my joy. I love a relaxing facial and bringing that calm and peace and joy. And everyone's skin looks really great after a facial.
It does.
I mean, it just, even if you are not doing anything wonderful like a chemical peel or a major invasive this or, microcurrent or ultrasonic or microdermabrasion, just a lovely facial. You are restoring the skin. You're hydrating it because we are all super dehydrated. And your skin just looks so good afterwards, even if it's just
Skincare is where
basic.
it's at. It just
It
is.
really is.
I think it's interesting because the idea of sort of dreaming big, right? I think what I'm hearing from you, and I think is a little bit of an undercurrent in my own life, and touches a bit on your question. Dreaming big can mean like I'm going to go climb a mountain. It can mean I'm going to go start a brand new business. It can be something like objectively big, but it can also be I'm going to follow my true soul. I'm going to follow what brings me. You just use the word joy. And I think we forget that sometimes. Like dreaming big can mean just being true to yourself. And I will say, because you and I have on 2 different occasions shared 12-hour car rides together. You really are very true to yourself. And I think that's one of the things. You have like such positive energy. For people listening that aren't here in the room with Kim has like amazing.
Oh, I know.
But that's a cultivated thing too, because like your mom giving you permission to be that person allowed you to cultivate that. And I think we can all cultivate that in ourselves, but we have to give ourselves permission to dream big in a small way.
To do what we want.
Right.
To do what we want.
Yes.
Interesting.
How do you figure out what you wanted to do? Like, did it just sort of come to you?
It just kind of falls in my lap. Like I'm not sitting there with a big dream seeking thing. You think, what do I want? It's just like, oh, well, wouldn't that be interesting? As I'm getting these facials every month and talking to this lovely esthetician who truly is still my dream of who I would like to be and how I would like to bring things to other people. And I'm going, that would be so nice to be able to bring that to someone else, to bring the joy to someone else's life, to bring the calm and feel good about yourself, feel that you actually can look at yourself in the mirror. That has been a big thing. I haven't for many decades. And as we're doing this aesthetics journey, I found out bad things about my skin because I hadn't been looking at the mirror. And as we're doing things, you take, picture in the front and on each side. And then as I was looking at it for a makeup application, and I realized, oh my gosh, I've got hyperpigmentation, like really, 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 really bad. And I didn't know that. And so then, as we're doing some of the chemical peels, and I went, not that we do lasers in our school, we learn the theory, but went and got an IPL, which will help with the hyperpigmentation. And the difference in literally it's been maybe 53 to 54 weeks between one picture and the next. Amazing. It's still there, but it's muted. And that just, wow.
I love the fact that you just continue to learn. You're just a serial learner, honestly. And when we use the word dream, because it is in our title, I don't always think of dreams as always being fulfilled. It is doing it. So we can dream and want something, but what you've done is you've put those pieces in place to fulfill those ideas or those dreams that you have. And I think at our age, sometimes that's hard to get inspired to do that. Now, there's a lot of things I want to do, and I do jump in and do them. But there's also, I think, I think there's still barriers in our head that, sometimes we don't know exactly what we want to do, or that we'd fail at it if we did it.
You have to be willing to fail. And I you know this about me. One of the things that's kind of a dream that I have, maybe a big dream, maybe just a dream, but I want to do a photo show. So, and it's mostly because I've been doing photographs now for 10, 12 years, and I have a tremendous number of photographs. And it seems like I should do something with them. And it really wouldn't be that hard to do. There's plenty of places where you can ask to put up a photo show. And I haven't done it. And the reason I haven't done it is because I'm afraid that it's going to seem foolish.
Aww.
And I'm just being honest. Like, people will look and say, well, what does she think? Come on. Like, she's not really a photographer.
That's the narrative.
Can we help curate your photos? And then you don't feel as much as it's people judging you, because we've all said, these are phenomenal photos, put them in your show.
Of course. That's a brilliant idea.
It is.
That's a brilliant idea. I'm going to take you up
And
on
your
that.
photography is beautiful.
Please do. Absolutely. Well, and I think, maybe that's part of it, right? And maybe that almost answers my question from before, is maybe one of the things some of us need is somebody to help us, right? I remember this wonderful Girl Scout hike that we went on, and it was Old Rag Mountain. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. That's a good hike. And it's a hard hike.
It's a hard hike, and it's a scary hike, and it's got a rock scramble, and I never did a rock scramble, and you had to jump across, like, empty space that you could fall into, and one of the Girl Scouts actually helped me and the other people who were fearful of making that leap. And then we did, and it just felt phenomenal. And so maybe some of it is just finding that person that can help you sort of take that, and not even a leap. That was a leap, because maybe it wasn't as big of a leap as I thought at the time, but it was pretty scary for me at the time. But maybe that's it. Maybe we just need somebody who sees in us that potential that can help us address whatever that internal fear is, or those questions.
And a piece of that, I don't want to monopolize here, but a piece of that is actually what just happened. Like, I have never said that before, that was my fear. And being willing to share it gave you the inspiration to be my support for this, which is, so you have to both open up your heart to share and then be open to helping other people.
It's vulnerable.
Yeah, yeah.
It's vulnerability for sure.
It's being vulnerable and then responding to that vulnerability in a positive way, the way you just did.
That's Marla.
I know.
So, Kim, I want to change the subject for a second. I want to hear about how you made your own shoes.
Okay. Well, there's this fabulous.
Do you want to show them?
Oh,
Sorry, you don't have to if you don't want.
These are my shoes. I love the color.
They're so
I do
cute.
too. I love pink.
Who would have thought about it? I'm going to go make my shoes.
I've actually thought of that because I have all kinds of trouble with my feet, and I'm always like, it'd be really nice to have custom-made shoes. How does one do that?
Well, I was in a Japanese braiding class, a Marodai class, and one of the ladies there who was more expert than I, she was showing pictures of the shoes that she was sewing. So she would get like brocade fabrics or something, and she would, sew little shoes. And then she was talking about, and she'd gone to this place in North Carolina. So it's the folk school in Brasstown, North Carolina. And so I started looking at their catalog, and I've been down there many times, but they had these shoes. And so I signed up for the class, and the lady, you choose your pattern. She has them in little tin patterns. So you choose your leather, you trace it, you put where the holes are going to be, and she walked you through. It took a whole week, and you walked through step by step, lacing them up. Some people did 2 or 3 tone things. They look very different. I just like the pink.
That's so cool.
So you saw it. You just decided to do it.
But this girl had mentioned it.
Yeah,
and
that's
it
what I'm
just
saying.
sounded, yes.
You seized the moment.
And it was
just
like,
did it.
I want to do that. So you hear about something, and then you go, instead of just, sometimes I do just save a lot on my phone, you go back and say, isn't that cool? And I was just, Well, I want to do that. How do I do that? Okay, I'll look up.
I don't think you leave much on your list.
Oh,
Sounds like they
there's a
get
bit.
checked off pretty quick.
So neither do you.
Oh, that's probably true.
No,
You have to do it with them.
Well, I did take another weekend course in Amherst, Massachusetts, and we made some sandals because I wanted a pair of like Roman sandals because my church, for the Christmas season, they would do like, it was called like, Bethlehem 1 BC. And so we had a dinner as though with food appropriate to the locale and time. And we dressed in costume if you wanted to. So I sewed up a little thing that kind of looked appropriate, and I wanted shoes to go with it. So I went up there and made shoes, and then another green pair of sort of slip-on shoes. But those are the only 3 pairs I've ever made.
Yes, Leanne and I like costumes, so we might have to pick your
Y'all
brain.
do? Oh, count me out. I am so not a costume.
Hey, where's the fun?
No, I love it that y'all want to do it, but don't make me do one of those like decade things.
Oh, my sisters and I will put on all kinds of wigs and
I
go.
forgot about that.
I love costumes.
I love that about you.
Yeah.
Ironically, my husband, who you all know, who is very introverted and seems very serious, loves a costume. And everybody thinks I'm the more extroverted one and that I would love a costume. I hate them. Matt is happy to dress up as whomever.
As long as he's not having you dress up.
As long as what?
He's not having you dress up.
So this isn't so much a dress-up thing, although dress-up weaves into this, but it is part of a big dreams thing. So my husband and I are currently taking dance classes, and we are specifically taking tango. And the reason is because it way on the top of my travel bucket list is Argentina. I really want to go to Argentina.
Do not pass go. It's amazing.
I just really want to go. But if I go to Argentina, I want to dance the tango, and I want to buy a really cool tango dress, and I want Dave to wear something really cool.
Don't you need a rose in your mouth?
I'm good. Oh, but I just like it's, and it's funny because he
love
is
that.
totally in accordance with that. He's like, we got to go do the tango in Argentina. So we're doing our own small preparatory steps to make this dream come true by taking these dance classes.
That's so fun.
Have to find an appropriate costume.
Because, we went to Argentina last January and we went to a tango show and I've never seen anything like it. It was really cool. We had a family friend when I was growing up who was actually a professional tango dancer before she went to medical school. It's like, that's quite a life.
This is actually our third go round at dance lessons together. The first 2 were incredibly unsuccessful. But this actually, we're doing pretty well. We like the teacher and we're learning. And it's actually
fun.
very
What
fun.
made the difference?
Actually, the instructor that we have now is very non-judgmental. And he also, he can break things down in a way that, before they would sort of bark orders at you, like, do this step, follow this pattern. And we were like,
What are you talking about?
we're way behind that. You need to give us baby steps. And he really does. So it's really working. And so we're feeling confident.
That's
'cause
so
we actually
good.
can move around the dance floor a little bit.
That's cool.
Well, and you're going to do something really exciting with your hobby
Yeah, absolutely.
or your skill. It's not even a hobby. It seems a good skill.
It's a hobby and a skill. Yeah.
I think
And
it's fun
to travel, which,
Right.
give me a reason. I think if we can get past this and do the tango in Argentina, the next step is to learn the waltz and go to Vienna.
Oh my gosh.
I love this.
The whole thing.
I used to think my camera took me places. Maybe I need to get my feet on a dance floor.
I was about to say, maybe we can have Dave talk to Matt because I don't think Matt would love this idea, but I like it.
Dave didn't love it originally.
Yeah.
But he's on board now, so.
Oh, I think that's great. Anybody else doing fun things or thinking of doing things here in the future?
I can't say this is my
We're
week.
all
for
looking
that.
at
This is not
Marla.
my week for that.
I don't know. I just came back from my 45th high school reunion, so that was enough for a little while. But actually, it's funny because one of the conversations I had with a friend from high school was about having visions, and 3 of us spent the weekend together, and we talked about one of our friends she is a visionary. She can see things. She's creative. She's artistic. She can organize her house and her design. And I think there are people who can see, right? you can picture how something is going to look, and there are other people. And as she said, she doesn't have visions like that. She's the person who, runs an organization, isn't the person who conceives of the organization. And so I thought that was just really interesting perspective and thinking about it from dreaming. And where did you think you might be when you were 15 or 16 or 17 to where you ended up, and then, where you are now and what you're thinking about doing. And so I think, for myself, I don't have a specific dream right now. There isn't something that I'm working toward. I'm working toward creating this new chapter in my life, which looks a little bit like my old chapter, but not exactly. And so that's taking a lot of energy and confidence to move through there, and then just being open to those other possibilities and really trying to pay attention to what are things that I'm doing. We talk about this all the time, right? We're all doing this, right? This podcast is not necessarily something that all of us thought we would do 10 years ago. Maybe some of us thought 5 years ago they might be doing it. And then you find yourself, flexing different muscles that you maybe didn't even know you had. And so I think for me, the dream is just really being open to what those possibilities are and paying attention, right?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of serendipity as far as what just jumps out at you. Like Pokemon. We haven't talked about Pokemon.
Oh, please tell.
My whole class, and you have to understand, in our class of 16 people, I am way older. Most of them are in their 20s. There's maybe one that's 40, and then I'm 63. So way different. But they all laugh because they know I play Pokemon. So my college roommate got me into it about almost a year and a half ago. And I was doing it at home. And then I got real brave. And it took a while for me to go out and meet, because there are communities. But it's kind of scary. And that took a long time. But I reached a point where you kind of need other people around you to be able to do some of the tasks and check off the things and progress as you want. And so I went, and it was really embarrassing. But they were all so kind, and I've learned so much. And you don't realize how much you've learned until, another person comes into the group and they say, oh, I haven't, I've played on my own, but I haven't played with a group. And just little things that you pick up. Oh, at this point, once, you're doing the raid, and once it says go, we can walk, we can go to the next raid. You don't lose it. Really? Yeah. And, just a lot of little things. What constitutes a good thing? What can you do? How can you, you want to get medals and you want to do this. And my college roommate said, oh, when you're able to just do solo raids, and you will always get one of those mentions, and that stacks up because they count everything for you. It's just a lot of fun. So this past weekend, a girlfriend that I hadn't seen in about 20 years came back to D.C. with her husband and her almost 18-year-old son. And as we were getting ready to sit down at church, I said, do you play Pokemon? He said, Pokemon Go. I said, yeah. He goes, yeah, I do. So we quickly traded QR codes so that we are now friends and can
And it's something as far as the community. I mean, people are out like in the town catching whatever Pokemons, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's a community where you meet a group and you've met people there, but also people can go do it on their own. I remember a story. You and I both know this person, but she worked with me, Karen. And I remember she would come to work and she's like, okay, Marianne, I am convinced that my neighbor is either CIA, FBI. She's got something going on. I see her at all parts of town. She's doing GPS locations of where things are and where she is. And this went on for about a year. And the people ended up moving, but they rebuilt their house and they had gone over for dinner. They didn't know them that well. She just was Well, we live in DMV area, so that would
Yeah.
that's
So we actually
already.
we do have spies in the neighborhood,
It
literally.
probably wouldn't have been a good spy to let the neighbor know. But anyway, one day she comes to work. She goes, "You're not going to believe this. It was all about Pokemon." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "She was just chasing Pokemon." I was like, "What is Pokemon?" And then I met you. Well, I knew you, but then you were talking and got into Pokemon as well. But it's so funny.
Kim, how did you get into Pokemon?
College roommate. She was playing it. I don't know how she got into it, but she said, "Hey, you want to try this?" I went down with her family to Richmond, and it was just kind of love at first sight. So I blame her every time someone looks at me and kind of does that, you're playing Pokemon at your age.
That's so great.
My college roommate got me into it, yeah.
To the point what Leslie Ann was talking about, the little things as well. I love that you do just grab something and you just have fun. And I think that we don't all need big dreams. Like mine are kind of little, but it is finding something that I enjoy, something that gives me happiness. Because there's a lot of sadness. We're all human. We have things going on in our life that aren't always so pleasant. And so to find even the little things that might bring you joy, to me, is fulfilling a dream of being happy and finding something that you yourself can embrace and enjoy. Why are you smiling?
I'm laughing because I did not realize that this is one of my little things. Did y'all ever see the movie Clueless with Alicia?
Yes.
Okay. So from the time I saw that movie, however, 20, 25 years ago, I was obsessed with the wardrobe changer, the computerized wardrobe changer that she had. So y'all, this is so me. My husband is like, "You are crazy." So on the latest, a couple of Apple updates ago, on the iPhone, in the notes section, you can now take these tiny little thumbnail pictures. So I took all my outfits, because I take pictures of all my outfits because I don't like to decide what to wear in the morning. I just like to have all my outfits put together. And I made myself one of those Clueless albums. So now I have it by my pants, my shirt. I showed it to my friend Elena. She was like, "Oh my God." I was like, "I can make one for you too." She was like, "Crazy.
You're all girl. That is so teenage girl. I love it."
And I'm also kind of OCD, and that's very satisfying to me. When my children were little, I found that the only space that was entirely mine was my little closet. And so when I would get really stressed out and the house was a mess and work was crazy and the toddlers were doing whatever, I would go rearrange my closet because it was my only control. So yeah, and Matt's like, you literally have an album of all your clothes. He's like, "What is wrong with you?" But I'm like, I really enjoy
For
it.
shopping, it would be helpful to be able to piece
I
things
have
together.
many fewer clothes now.
Will you edit mine?
I'm happy to.
Edit my closet.
One of my girlfriends, she has a very big house. She has a very big closet. And I just helped her go through all of her clothes. And at one point I picked two up and I was like, "You have two of the same suit." She was like, "They can't be exactly the same." I'm like, "They're exactly the same." I was like, "Can we get rid of one of them?" Well, I was like, "Oh, for goodness sake, you're getting rid of one of these things." So yeah, no, I'm happy to help you.
I think we should do
But I'm
that.
telling you, when you do it, you buy fewer clothes because you're like,
That's
"I already
probably
have that."
true.
Mm-hmm. And I don't have a very big closet, and I don't want my stuff spread out all over the house.
And I actually don't like shopping. I
don't
know
either.
most girls love shopping.
I hate shopping. I
don't
to
like
look
shopping.
nice, but I hate shopping.
Right.
So I
Well,
can
you
shop
had
in
a
my closet.
stylist, and I was always like, "Oh."
I did that for 9 months to help me because I had just turned 50, and I was just like, I don't want to look matronly, but I also don't want to look like I'm trying to be 21 because
You've
I'm
got
neither
style,
of
girl.
those things. So she helped me up my game.
Oh,
And
she
now I
did.
have all my outfits.
And I just stare.
I love that idea because it's kind of like the adult version of playing with paper dolls, but in a productive way. Yeah.
And
in a
it's super fun. And then I'll put the accessories. I make sure I take the picture, so I just have all the accessories ready.
That's so cool.
Oh yeah, so I'm Cher from Clueless. Oh yeah, I'll show you.
We're all going to be showing up, really looking good and put together after you're done
My
with us.
girlfriend's like, "You really don't mind helping me clean out my closet?" I'm like, "It's much less stressful than cleaning out my own closet, believe me."
How fun.
That actually raises an interesting point, though. Like in terms of finding things to do with your free time and to amuse yourself, it could be something completely off the chain, like Pokemon. But it could also be something productive. Like it's fun to do.
That's fun to me.
Yeah.
I mean, people think that's weird, but it's fun to me.
Oh, I think
sort
it's
of
fun.
cleaning with purpose and fun. I think that's really cool.
I also organize my pantry to look like a grocery store, which is also a little weird.
I will say, a little sort of version of that is, you guys know I have like a ton of china. Like, I have my wedding china. I have my mother-in-law's wedding china. I have my mother-in-law's mother's wedding china. I've got like all this china. I got like lots and lots and lots of plates. And I enjoy having people over to dinner because then I plan what I'm going to serve based on what plates I want to use. So they kind of have sort of like a particular favorite plate. They kind of have a particular flavor profile associated with them in my mind, or a particular season. So like when I have people over, I'm like, oh, I'm going to use those plates, which means tonight I'll have to make something with lemon in it, or tonight I'm going to make a stew so I can use the colorful deep bowls. Anyway,
that's creative. And I know you're a
very good cook.
Jeez.
Yeah, very good cook.
I couldn't take enough sur la table classes to even come close to your cooking. And I think I cook okay, but
I'm saying I'm a pretty good home cook, but Leslie Ann.
Well, you guys are nice. But, in an earlier, when I was younger, I mean, that was one of the things I did. I took all kinds of cooking classes everywhere I could.
They are helpful. I've enjoyed them, yeah.
And these are all things that could be woven.
And photography.
Right. And photography, right. I could do a photography trip, a culinary tour of Italy. That would be fun.
And chase down dogs and take their candids.
Yes.
You want to do that too.
Yeah.
Anything else before we wrap it up?
I will say, for the record, Pokemon helps you get your steps in.
That's good.
I will sell it to some family members. Just don't quite understand the appeal, but when they see that you got in like 12,000 steps one day because you were doing raids with your group, oh well, Kimmy, that's really good. Yeah, so it does help, and it gets you out of the house. Sometimes there are things you need. Some days it's just hard to get out of bed, it's hard to get out of the house, and it's like, okay, I can, and then you're happy you did, but you don't feel that on the way.
Oh yeah, getting moving sometimes.
Yeah.
And I work at home, so sometimes I'm like, I've got to get out of this house. Yeah. So maybe I should check out Pokemon.
Yes, but if you do, you start with my trainer code, because then we both get lots of gifts along the way.
Oh, okay.
Extra gifts. Yes.
Better catch them all. That's still their slogan.
They've got it once or twice, but no, it's usually the older players that have that, because it's been around like, I don't know,
a long time.
Oh, my kids used to collect the
My
cards.
kids used to cut the cards too.
I know that's different. That's different. Yeah,
it's the same thing, but it is different. But the Pokemon Go has been. I mean, that's even been.
So is that just to really get you up and go, like to go find?
Yeah. And
it's like a treasure hunt, right?
Yes, and I remember so many things that I was telling my roommate when she showed how you can get extra hearts, playing with your Pokemon. I guarantee you, I will never play with my Pokemon. Well, yeah, I play with my Pokemon. And saying things like, yeah, except for it's not like I'm going to get up at 2 a.m. and go chase this Pokemon. She goes, I do sometimes.
Yeah.
And now I have to. If it's one that you don't have and you don't see very often and you need it, oh, yeah, I will get up and go.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Fun. Thanks so much for being here today. And it was a good discussion. And hopefully listeners can see that they can do little things or they can do big things, but to enjoy life, follow their dreams, and just have fun. Thank you.
For having me. I love you guys.
We love you.